Hi guys, we're going to talk today about typography and layout. Our learning intention here is that we're learning to effectively use the design elements of style, function and aesthetics to help us make decisions for our designs. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that throughout this presentation. So all fonts are different and have different jobs. Producing a great piece of graphics, whether it's a poster or a book cover, can depend heavily on your font choice. Choosing from a list of fonts takes great care and understanding. And if you think about fonts as designs, you will start to understand how to use them. Your task. So we'll quickly go over the different types of fonts available. Once you've completed watching this video, I then want you to select and experiment with your fonts for your design. You can either hand draw them or you can do them digitally. You're going to select fonts suitable for headings, so you can either do this by Googling font alphabets or going into the files section on the Teams, and you can also look at fonts that are existing on your computer, either on Word or PowerPoint. I also want you to select fonts suitable for other information. Please make sure that your fonts do not clash with each other or compete for your attention. Font selection will either make or break your design. The first type of fonts we're going to talk about are display fonts. These are the extroverts, the big bold fonts of the font world, and these fonts are the most suitable for headings. The graphic you can see here gives you some examples of the font names, just so that you can recognise them when you're looking for them. Top tips for using display fonts. Make sure it's clear. How well a font reads at the intended size and at a distance is very important. Ask someone to look at your design. Can they actually read it? Choose the right font for the job. Display fonts change the mood or atmosphere of your poster. Posters that are meant to be all lovey-dovey are more likely to have soft, curved typefaces, whereas horror posters will have jaggy or edgy types. And you can mix it up, so try not to use all the same types of fonts all the time. This will make it harder to read and make your poster or book cover boring. So try and mix up styles to create contrast and extra impact. The next type of fonts we're going to talk about are serif, slab serif and sans serif. So if you remember nothing else in typography, a serif is literally just a small line or a stroke that's attached to the end of a letter. Those are the little curves, blocks or little bits of style added to the end of a letter. Serif fonts are mostly used for text where lots of information is required. The only exception to this rule are the sans serif, which are a little bit bolder, and sometimes those are used for headings as well. Some top tips. Serif fonts change the style of your poster because some of them look modern, some are antique, some give a classic feel. So choose wisely. If you want your design to look clean and modern, avoid fonts with curvy serifs. Pick an appropriate size, so make sure it's readable, and make sure that a small point size can be read from a distance. If your design is too busy, you can use a happy medium. So you could also use, as I mentioned before, some serif fonts as headers or titles, because sometimes these are cleaner to look at. Watch out for spacing. So some serif fonts have lines or strokes which make the spacing between them really, really small, and then this would make your design harder to read from a distance. And finally, we have script fonts. Script fonts are generally inspired by 17th century formal writing styles. They're the most like handwriting that you can get. You can get some casual scripts as well, which more modernly look like formal or informal handwritten writing. Top tips for using your scripts. Don't use it for body text. So never try to use a script text for giving lots and lots of information. It will feel really, really cluttered and the readability will suffer. Don't shout. Using all capital letters when using a script font is most often a mistake. They're meant to be used the same way that you would use handwriting, so capital letters should be at the start of sentences or for titles. And finally, use them sparingly. If you clutter up your design with only script fonts, it's going to be hard to read and really, really unclear. The final thing that I want to talk about when picking a font is make sure that you change the weight or size of the font so that the emphasis changes depending on what you're looking for. So make sure that you experiment lots with size and weight for good development. Your success criteria here. You're creatively and skillfully selecting appropriate fonts for aesthetic and pleasing visual effects. And you're demonstrating an understanding of appropriate design elements. So in your task, if you're hand-drawn your developments, like I said, look on Teams or in Google for your font alphabets, trace these or draw them neatly into your development ideas. If you are using Pixlr or Photopea, which we will be later in the project, you can insert text directly into your designs. Just remember to experiment with different types, sizes and colours. Remember to save a copy of your design anytime you make any changes. Before we go, I just want you to look over here at this graphics folio. This is a higher graphics folio for Macbeth. You can see here the header font is in keeping with the style of Macbeth. It's very, very jaggy and edgy. Although you can't read it, you can see that that is a clear serif typeface that has been used for the body of information there. And you can see similar things happening throughout the developments in this person's folio. So make sure that you follow this advice and you will not go wrong with your font.